Shohei Ohtani Day turned into Shohei Ohtani Weekend, and the Dodgers won all three games after losing the first one of the series. Let's talk about it. Let's get locked on Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by us because that's who we're bringing you the episode today. This is the daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube simply by searching for Locked On Dodgers. And if you never want to miss a day and be notified when our episodes are ready, you can subscribe in each or both of those places and be up to date when our episodes are going live on YouTube or they're ready wherever you get your podcasts. If this is your first time listening, watching, welcome. My name is Vince Samperio, usually joined by co-host Jeff Snyder. Jeff's here, but he's just in the background. His voice is gone, so he's helping out behind the scenes today. So if you're in the chat, that'll be Jeff. If you're watching or listening right now, it'll be me. And Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans that have spent a long time watching the Dodgers. We've both covered the team in different ways over the last decade. We've been doing this podcast for half of that decade. We've been doing Dodger podcasts a little bit longer. So we got a lot of Dodgers info and knowledge and thoughts and all that stuff in us. And we try to bring that to you every Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes. And that's what we're here to do today. And yeah, the Dodgers lost on Thursday, and I got stuck at Dodger Stadium until about 11 p.m. before I finally gave up, went home, got it all situated, went back to the stadium the next day, and got my car out of there. So we're good on that front. But yeah, then the Dodgers decided we're not going to lose this series, and we're going to win this 3-game or 4-game series. And if not a sweep, the best way to win a 4-game series is to lose the first one and win the next 3, and that's what they did. Big ups to Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani had his bobblehead Thursday when the Dodgers did lose, but then Friday, May 17th, was declared Shohei Ohtani Day in Los Angeles, which will be around for the duration of his contract. So for the next 9 years now, May 17th will be Shohei Ohtani Day. The Dodgers won that day. And then Ohtani just made sure to turn it into Shohei Ohtani weekend by closing out Sunday with a first career walk-off with the Dodgers, his first walk-off in the majors in 4 years. I don't know how many chances he had with the Angels, but can be as many as he's probably going to have with the Dodgers. And yeah, it was a fun, good weekend for the Dodgers, especially after losing that first game and losing pretty bad. I'm sure the fans were very optimistic after Thursday's game, but the Dodgers turned it around for them and move forward and some big pitching performances, which we'll get into next. A little bit of a shuffle on the offensive side in terms of the lineup and some roster moves that came about. We'll talk about that later in the third segment. But let's talk about Shohei Ohtani and kind of where we'll start off with Sunday's game. And Sunday's game came down to extra innings, and Ohtani delivered the big hit, and the Dodgers won in 10. On the day, Ohtani had 2 hits and the RBI, and he also got hit by a pitch, I think, when he came up at some point. So, but either way, he came through when we needed him. And we saw Ohtani with one other chance this year to win the game, and it didn't quite work out that time. It worked out this time and came at a good spot because, the Dodgers were got a big inning from somebody who wasn't even on the team the last time we spoke, Anthony Banda, who had just been acquired that day, I believe, but now officially on the team, got a big inning out of him in the top of the 10th. And then, they tried to bunt. They tried to appease everybody and tried to bunt there in the bottom of the 10th, and Kiki Hernandez popped it up. And, as always, when bunts don't work out, even if I'm not tweeting during the game, a lot of the time I'm tweeting during the game some of the times, and, let it go to always bunt, because bunts are not guaranteed, especially in today's game, especially against a pitcher like Alexis Diaz, who does, throw pretty hard and have some nasty stuff. So it didn't quite work out, but it worked out for the Dodgers in terms of getting the win. Big innings all around from Landon Knack, who's back up and made a start. and the rest of the bullpen. And like I said, we'll get into that. But, just the Ohtani batted leadoff for the first time on Saturday. He didn't get any hits that day, unfortunately, but, regardless of that, and then he got 2 hits and 2 RBI with the opposite field home run in Friday's game. So, a big weekend overall for Ohtani. But, I saw some of, and I don't know if it's from Dodger fans specifically, but you see some of the comments about why do we have a Shohei Ohtani day when he hasn't necessarily, done anything yet in a Dodger uniform. And, the guy has brought a lot of different things to the Dodgers beyond just on-field production. He is up there, if not the leader for NL MVP right now. We're into May 19th, but still. And, he's done a lot of different things, and he's been able to bring a new community to Dodger Stadium. I mean, that bobblehead on Thursday, bobblehead game, was worse than a lot of playoff games. Maybe not as worse as some World Series games, but almost any other playoff game I've been to in the last, 10 years or so. That was, some of the most hectic madness I've seen at Dodger Stadium. He's selling all the jerseys and selling all the gear and everything else. And he's here for 10 years. There's no reason, not to salute him. I know Justin Turner had his day when he was with the Dodgers. That one was a little bit more accomplishment based, but either way, I don't have an issue with it. And that's the way the Dodgers. He's already brought in like 8 or 9 different sponsorships to the Dodgers, so you got to imagine he's already paid for some of that contract that they're going to have to pay him on the back end after the 10 years. So they'll probably have to extend Shohei Ohtani Day after those 10 years, just until they finish paying him. And then, you can make it worth your while there after that. But yeah, offensively, the rest of the way, I mean, it was a mixed bag of a weekend. Friday night, the Mookie Betts had a leadoff homer. Shohei homered. Will Smith drove in a run. Jason Hayward had a big homer in his return. A good solid win on Friday. A little bit less of that or a little bit quieter way of winning the game on Saturday. It was Freddie Freeman and Teoscar, Andy Pages, Gavin Lux all contributed to that win. They put up 4 runs, nothing in the first 3 innings, then, got a couple there in the middle of the game, and then added one there in the 8th inning. So, offensively good on that end. And then it was a little bit, Hunter Green has really taken a step this year, being a little bit more of an ace and figured things out to a certain extent, a little bit more than he has in the past. He did leave a slider hanging to Andy Pages, who hit it for a home run. That was a good sign to see from Pages for him. Had a couple of base hits over the weekend, and he's been struggling. So good to see him get back there out on the base paths and into the seats as well when he hits the home run, and that, a couple other hits here and there. But there's a lot more to get into on the offense side in terms of the lineup, which we're going to get to, and then the pitching, which was really, really, really good overall for a majority of the weekend, other than Glasnow not quite having it on Thursday. But Jeff had to unfortunately talk about that one. I get to talk about all the wins, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to start with the pitching, so make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Policygenius. If you have people that count on you financially, then you know that life insurance is super important to protect your loved ones in case something were to happen to you. But finding the right life insurance policy can be time-consuming and overwhelming, and that's where Policygenius comes in. Policygenius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace and saves you time and money so you can provide your family a financial safety net starting today. You may not know where to get started, or you may have someone that tries to get you started, like Jeff. Jeff's first life insurance policy, he talked about it, was when his wife's cousin showed up and started asking about them, and then essentially pressured him into getting a policy. And let's just say that policy wasn't probably the best policy he could have got. So he got help later on, and ended up getting a better policy that met our needs. But if Policygenius had been back around back then he wouldn't have to worry about it, because he could have just went to Policygenius and it would have saved him time and money on that process of getting life insurance. So go check it out right now. It's time to get yourself prepared for the future. And if you do, it's still worth making sure you have the right coverage if you already have one, or if you have one from work. unfortunately, you might not work there the whole time. So go check it out right now. Check life insurance off your to-do list at no time with Policygenius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonmlb or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonmlb. Today's episode is also brought to you by Yahoo Finance. How many online financial accounts do you have? There's banking, and maybe you have a 401k, or you have a Roth IRA, or you have investments, or other retirement accounts that you have. And there's always some people have mortgages and auto loans, and there's so much in the financial world. And I'm not a finance guy, so I definitely need help. And that's where Yahoo Finance can help you and get you consolidated and get all your accounts in one area and access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. And whether you know exactly what you're doing, not me, when it comes to investing, or you need a little extra guidance, that is me. Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. You just securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including 401k and other investments. And that comprehensive perspective sets apart great investors. And with Yahoo Finance, it's right at your fingertips. Another way to secure your financial future, or at least get your finances in order, and make sure consolidate it all into one different spot right here with Yahoo Finance. The community of over 90 million users each month, including us over here at Locked On Dodgers. The real strength of Yahoo Finance is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor. That's yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. Once again, that's yahoofinance.com. I want to thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. If we're not your first listen, all you got to do is just put us on in the morning, or now that we've been going live, I know we're on at night sometimes, but you can still make it your first listen of the day. If you watch on YouTube at night and then you listen in the morning, that's a good way to go about it. You can become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. Remember that Locked On Podcast Network has two 24/7 streaming channels that could cater to you, with Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Sports Los Angeles. They're running all day, all night on YouTube, and the Amazon Fire TV channels bringing you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. And as we always say, you can go beyond the podcast and become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers. And this weekend would have been a great weekend to be part of the Locked On Dodgers insiders, because if you're not on Twitter all day or throughout the day, like Jeff and I are most of the time, you'd have missed out on a lot of moves that happened, and you would have been watching Sunday's game and be like, Landon Knack's back, and who is Anthony Banda, or anything else that could happen over the weekend. And that's what happened. Landon Knack was the starter on Sunday. He wasn't as sharp as he had been, but did enough to do the job of giving the Dodgers some bulk innings there, and keep them in the game for sure. You had Anthony Banda, who threw a great top of the 10th to get the Dodgers to the bottom half, where Shohei Ohtani worked his magic. We saw Yarbrough and Vesia and Blake Trinan. Vesia got put into a little bit of a tough situation, but still those issues with walks hurt him there. I guess the walk wasn't so much the big issue for me. It was just the lack of competitive pitches that were in that at bat. I mean, there were some that a guy doesn't have to worry about swinging that, got way out of the zone. And then, he tried to backdoor in a slider there to with the full count after a couple foul balls, and didn't quite work out. So, but let's talk about Walker Buehler, because that was really the highlight of the weekend in terms of the pitching, because it was great to see that Walker Buehler. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, no walks, and 7 strikeouts, and looked really sharp. He got a lot more swings and misses than he had been getting. He got 8 swings and misses, off different pitches. He got 2 off the fastball, 3 off the knuckle curve, 2 off the cutter, and 1 off a slider. Overall, his velocity on the day was a little bit down, but maybe that was an adjustment he made in order to make sure his pitches were all sharp, because this, we talked about Buehler and, being happy the fact that the velocity was back. And then we had both said, Jeff and I had both said, like, now if he can just get the off-speed stuff going to play off of that, then, he'll be in a good spot. And I don't know if he has the 99 still in him, but the 97 is more than good enough in big situations, especially with some of that stuff that, that he can throw off of that. And that's what we saw on Saturday. The off-speed stuff was really working, and he was able to, divide it around. He threw 25 fastballs, 16 knuckle curves, 14 cutters, 11 sinkers, 7 changeups, and 5 sliders. So that's 6 different pitches that he threw at least 5 different times. He got swings and misses on 4 of those 6 pitches, and he got called strikes on all 6 of those pitches at one point. In the fastball, he was dotting it. He got 9 called strikes with that, 4 called strikes with the knuckle curve, which, pretty good to command that pitch. And then with the changeup, he was able to get some more called strikes. So overall, the Reds offense hasn't been great of late, but we saw when you don't have your best stuff, what they could do, because Tyler Glasnow got tagged on Thursday, and then Buehler comes on Saturday, and, he has better stuff. And that's where the big difference was in terms of, not having your best stuff and having your best stuff. And Walker Buehler had his best stuff on Saturday. And, I don't think it's reasonable for us to say Walker Buehler is back fully, but I do think we know, okay, he can get to that point. He has the ability to lock in and get into it. And, we saw Walker Buehler smile. That was a big talking point of the broadcast on Saturday and Sunday. Walker Buehler smiling during the start is not something you normally see. And, he said he wants to be more happy out there and realize, how privileged he is to be able to still play baseball and still get out there and be able to pitch for the Dodgers. So, yeah, it was great to see Buehler in that aspect. It was great to see him, look like someone that can help the Dodgers, not only the rest of the regular season, but moving into the postseason. So, obviously he's going to need to have his stuff on. I don't know if he's going to be able to get by if he doesn't have at least 3 of those pitches working, or command and control of at least 3 of those pitches every game, just because the fastball did lose a little bit of that depth or of that velocity, and you don't quite have that there. But yeah, I mean, all in all, there's no reason to not be happy about what we saw on Saturday with Walker Buehler. Now, the other pitcher that came in that game after Buehler was Michael Grove, and he pitched an inning and struck out 2. Michael Grove also pitched on Sunday. On Friday. He got the win in that game, pitched an inning, came in after Paxton, had another strikeout in that one. And, we've talked about Michael Grove, and I was on the Michael Grove 1 inning train very early, just because he has the stuff to be good in a reliever role. When you stretch it out to he needs to pitch over 4, 5, 6 innings, not so much, even 2 innings, not so much, but the 1 inning fits him well. And he settled into that role more so out of necessity for the Dodgers. I don't know if they wanted him to become a reliever full-fledged like that, but 10 of his last 11 appearances have been 1 inning or 3 recorded outs or less. The one of those that wasn't was when he started that bullpen game over there in Toronto when he went 2 innings. Actually, that's the one where he gave up 3 runs. Other than that, he's been lights out as a reliever going 1 inning. You look at just the month of May, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 15 pitches. 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 11 pitches. 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, a strikeout, 12 pitches. He did give up the runs there in San Diego. When Arias walked it off, that was his one, bad outing. He didn't have the stuff from early on, you could tell. Then you got 1 inning, no runs, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 10 pitches. 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 1 strikeout, 9 pitches. 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 11 pitches. Like, that's elite reliever stuff right there. That's 9 strikeouts in 6.1 innings, and no outing went over 15 pitches. Like, that's dominant, and that's the stuff that can get you, to your, well, he's one of the better arms right now, but get you to that back end of the bullpen. So, shout out to Michael Grove for really embracing, and out of necessity, but embracing this reliever role and really going to work. And shout out to the Dodgers for all the planning and the pitching coaches and staff and all that type stuff, for locking them in and getting those, the way he attacks hitters, knowing he's only going to go 1 inning, and it's been really great to watch. And then last pitcher to talk about a little bit JP Fireeisen, who not last pitcher, JP Fireeisen did get sent down on Sunday before the game after having a couple big innings recently. That was just more necessity out of needing arms. We talked about Anthony Banda. Anthony Banda, the Dodgers acquired him the other day. They called him up along with Knack before the game on Sunday. And like I said, Banda pitched that top of the 10th. And Ellie De La Cruz on second base, top of the 10th. You think, oh man, the Reds are pretty much guaranteed a run, and they were not, because Anthony Banda got out of that inning and Ellie De La Cruz stayed at second base. So, big shout out to him there. Blake Treinen's stuff has continued to look good over the, just video game stuff. Paxton, gave up some hits and runs in his start, but no walks for the second straight start. So that's a good sign there. He did give up a couple home runs, but I'm much more comfortable with him giving up home runs in a shorter, in little spurts here and there, rather than having a bunch of guys on base and then those home runs come, and then you're looking at a bad start overall. So overall, the pitching has been great, and the Dodgers really shut it down after. Yeah, there you go, 2 homers over 8 walks any day. The Dodgers really shut it down after that bad game on Thursday. So shout out the pitching. But now let's get into the offense, and big injury that happened to the Dodgers that kind of forced a lot of moves and a different offense moving forward. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Are you struggling to close deals because B2B selling is tougher than ever? And that's why we want to tell you about LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That's linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. That's linkedin.com/lockedon. Let Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Go get started. A reminder to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube to Locked On Dodgers, and become an everydayer by listening or watching every day. And remember to go beyond the podcast. Join subtext.com/LockedOnDodgers. You'll get all updates, thoughts, reactions, news, sometimes photos of players at Dodger Stadium that we weren't totally confirmed were going to be at Dodger Stadium yet, or at least not officially confirmed via photo. You can get all that and more. Just go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnDodgers and text directly with us. All right, so the big news ahead of Friday's game was Miguel Vargas was coming up. Jason Hayward was expected to be back. And, kind of what we had talked about in that situation was James Outman getting optioned, which did happen. And then we had talked about, maybe Chris Taylor having some type of injury that would allow him to go work on his swing. That's not entirely the case. James Outman was optioned, but we did get an injury, but it was to Max Muncy, and it was an actual injury of the oblique kind. And yeah, Muncy going to the IL is tough, especially with an oblique, because that's such a difficult injury to go through. Robert said it happened during batting practice on Thursday. He was out of lineup Thursday. He was already supposed to be out of lineup that day. Then he was out of lineup Friday. We found out he was going on the IL. They believe that they caught it early. He felt something during batting practice, shut him down immediately. He's not going to swing the bat for a few days, and then is supposed to swing the bat and get back. Robert said right after the 10 days. Now, obviously, anything Dave Roberts says in terms of injury, he's never playing doctor when he does that. He gives his recommendations of what's going to happen based on what he's been told or what he's been seeing for the most part. And, he believes they said MRI grade 1 strain. He should be back. But again, we'll take it with a grain of salt. But it does put a pretty big hole, or, at least it's an issue for the offense for sure, because you lose your number 5-6 hitter who lengthens the lineup to the point where you have 6 guys that can do damage, and then the bottom 3 you're hoping can do something. And with Muncy being down, that shortens your lineup to the 5 guys that you're know can do some damage and that have proven themselves this year. And then now you're going to have 4 guys in the lineup every day where you're not entirely sure what you're going to get out of them. One of those guys is Jason Hayward, who was activated and did hit a home run on Friday and did contribute over the weekend. Another one of those guys is Miguel Vargas, who was called up and in a different situation than maybe we had thought, in terms of, he's not called up to be an everyday guy. He's called up to play. Robert said they'll get him some starts, which is against right-handed pitching. Against left-handed pitching, I would imagine Vargas is going to get any start against left-handed pitching because that means Hayward will sit. But when there's a right-handed pitcher on the mound, you got Hayward, Pages, and Teoscar in the outfield. But they'll try to, they mixed in Miggy on Saturday. I'm sure they'll try to mix him in this week against the Diamondbacks where there's 3 straight right-handed pitchers. We saw Mookie Betts get his first day off. Maybe Teoscar will get his first day off in one of the coming days. But for Vargas, it's a different spot than he saw last year. Last year, he was, able to play second base every day and kind of cement himself as that second baseman, and he didn't do it, and he got sent down. Here, he's going to play left field exclusively, Dave Roberts said. They asked Roberts why not play him third base with Muncy out or play Chris Taylor at third base, and Roberts essentially shut it down, saying Kike and Miguel Rojas are going to split time at third base. Vargas is a left fielder. He hasn't taken ground balls at all, since last season. And, then you have Chris Taylor, who's probably just not going to play very often anyways, occasional start here and there. And if it is, it's going to be in the outfield. So that's where we're at there. Again, with Lux still struggling, being better of late, but still overall struggling. Pages was struggling, had a couple big hits this weekend. Hopefully that, keeps him going moving forward. But like I mentioned, it's a big blow to the offense in terms of your lineup's almost half and half in terms of you have an idea of what you're going to get and you have no idea what you're going to get. And that's a little bit tough. It was good to see Hayward, Hayward contribute. It was good to see Pages contribute. It was good to see, Lux contribute, but the Dodgers are going to need that more often than not. In case the days where the top of the order isn't having its best day. Freddie Freeman, a lot of people talk about him and how he struggled. And, before the weekends, Freddie Freeman's stats from last year compared to this year were very, very similar in terms of the number of games played and number of at-bats. It just obviously looks a lot worse when you put it next to Mookie and Ohtani and even Will Smith and Teoscar driving in runs to that extent. But he's still having, very good success. Obviously, had a big annoying double play on Sunday, and but I'm not worried about Freddie Freeman. He's gonna get his way under him. Will Smith, he's good, and Teoscar's been good for the most part. He's gonna strike out a lot, but he's also gonna deliver a lot. Now, when you look at the bottom of the order, now you got Kike or Rojas playing every day. You're gonna have Pages in center pretty much every day, Teoscar in left pretty much every day. Then you're gonna have Teoscar in the outfield, left or right. Then you have Vargas and Hayward basically being that platoon in between right and left field. So it's not an ideal situation for the Dodgers to lose Muncy right now, even though, we had just talked about him having some really bad at-bats or runners in scoring position of late. He's still somebody that, you can count on to at least be competitive in an at-bat for the most part and, draw a walk, hit a homer sometimes, get a single sometimes, and then, sometimes strike out. But for the Dodgers, obviously, it's not something that's going to hold them back. Now, the Reds are a team that overperformed maybe a little bit last year. They have a lot of injuries right now and maybe not the biggest test of what the Dodgers offense can be. But, they still put out some decent pitching out there. And Hunter Green, like Pages was the one that got the big hit off Hunter Green. And even though Hunter Green pitched into the 7th, he was still not as effective as he could have been if Pages didn't get that home run. So I know that the Dodgers are going to have games in the coming weeks where they struggle on offense, and that's because Mookie, Ohtani, Freddie, Will, Teoscar don't handle business like we expect them to, and then you got the bottom of the order that maybe struggles too. But all you really need to continue to have the success they've been having is kind of what they've had to this point, where that top of the order is good more often than not, and then the bottom of the order can contribute here and there. Now, I know when we think about the Dodgers, a lot of the time we're not really concerned about the regular season. We're concerned about October, but that's a long time from now, and who knows what the bottom of the order looks like come October, or who knows who turns it around, what trades are made, blah, 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 whatever those happens. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. The pitching's a little bit different because we can think about which pitchers are going to be here. And for the most part, we know everybody on the roster or that's pitched to this point has a chance of contributing, where on the offensive side, we're not so sure about that. Moves can be made. Gavin Lux is coming up on those 150 at-bats that they were promising him. And I would imagine right now, with, like I said, with the defense that he's had, he's not in danger of losing his position. But if the Dodgers had someone that was able to take that position, I do think they would have been considering that move already. So all that being said, we'll talk about James Outman real quick. Robert said it was a tough conversation to have with him in order to send him down. And, obviously we all, to a certain extent, I would imagine, have a liking of James Outman. He was really big for the Dodgers last year as a rookie, the hot month and that really cold month, and then figured things out and overall had, a really solid season. And we expected that coming back. And I think, someone hit me up on Thursday after the game and kind of mentioned, oh man, this Dodgers offense still scares me. Teams know how to pitch to them and everything else. And I'm like, okay, are you saying the same thing when the Dodgers score a bunch of runs though? And, it was one of those, okay, touche moments. And I think what the big thing with the Dodgers offense is we expected more from the bottom of the lineup. And since that hasn't happened, the days when the offense at the top struggles and they don't score runs, it looks really bad. But, if James Outman had just been what he was last year, if Gavin Lux was just even 80% of what he was his last full season in 2022, and then, Hayward doesn't get hurt and plays to what he did last year, this offense looks a whole lot different and, more of a juggernaut than it already does look sometimes. So I think, putting things into perspective, I think it's, obviously tough to not have guys perform to what we expect, but I don't think that should deter from, what this offense is overall. And, there's not teams that are sending out, if there's not a lot teams that are sending out 1 through 8, 1 through 9, legitimate lineups. Everybody has holes in their lineup, and it's just a matter of what those guys do when it matters, along with the top of the order performing to, what you expect in order to get, a good offensive game now and into, a postseason matchup. So, it sucks for Outman. I hope he can figure it out down there, get his confidence back, get his swing back. Roberts had said he was dealing with some mechanics before when he was struggling and a little bit of indecisiveness going on just with those struggles. So hopefully he can get himself right down there. And, if Miguel Vargas hits and Hayward keeps hitting, then, who knows how long he stays down there. But if Chris Taylor continues to struggle and Outman figures things out down there, that's a potential move that could happen down the line. So there was no real timetable of what to expect for Outman down there or, what to expect of anybody up here. But as we've seen with the Dodgers, things kind of figure themselves out sometimes, unfortunately, with injuries and everything else. But we'll see what happens. So that was a lot, big weekend, but the biggest thing was the Dodgers won all 3 games, and now they invite the Diamondbacks to Dodger Stadium for 3 more. Don't think we're facing Zach Gallen. Merrill Kelly's out, so they're going to face Brendan Pfaadt on Tuesday, and I don't know, 2 other guys. Might be a bullpen game on Monday. I don't know, but we're going to face pitching that is not their best, so the Dodgers should take advantage offensively. We're going to see Yamamoto on Monday, so that should be a good matchup for him to see what he can do. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day. Make sure to find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and get notified when episodes are going live or are ready for you to listen. Remember, you can go on YouTube to Locked On Sports Today or Locked On Sports Los Angeles, 2 24/7 streaming channels from the Locked On Podcast Network, bringing you all the news and stories from the sports world and the LA sports world. You can also go beyond the podcast, become a Locked On Dodgers insider at joinsubtext.com/Locked On Dodgers and get text directly from us with news, reactions, thoughts, and also text us directly and ask us any questions or comments you may have. You also can find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Locked On Dodgers. Jeff's on Twitter at Snydog. I'm at Vincent91. You can DM us with any questions or comments. You can also send those via email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or via voicemail text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be here with us. When you get in your car, if you're at home, text my advice play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one. We'll talk to you.